Today's Am I the A-hole drama, a bedwetting blow-up, and a paycheck-stealing dad. Let's dive into the first one. My boyfriend, male 27, and I, female 23, just moved into a new house and bought a new mattress. Last night, I woke up to a wet feeling under my arm and hand. My boyfriend was already up and in the bathroom. When he came back, I asked him if he spilled something in the bed or knew why it was wet. He told me that he thinks he peed the bed. I asked him again and said, "Wait, are you serious?" And he said, "I think I peed in my dream and peed in real life." We are both half awake at this point, and I'm just surprised that he actually did wet the bed. I asked him to go grab stuff to clean it up, and he told me that it was fine. I asked him what he meant by that, and he grabbed a towel, laid it on the wet spot, and got back into bed to go to sleep. I pulled the covers off of him and told him that he needs to go grab stuff to clean it up because I don't want it to get stained. It's a new mattress, and we don't have a mattress cover for it yet. He told me that it was fine and that I'm overreacting. That statement naturally made me upset, and I told him I'm not going to sleep in his pee, and that's not fair to me. He told me he'd clean it in the morning and that it's not a big deal and doesn't warrant the reaction I had. That was not the solution I wanted, so I took all the sheets off the bed and threw them at him, telling him to sleep on the couch. It was very irritating hearing him tell me that I'm overreacting because I asked him to clean up the pee in the bed we both slept in. He then knocked on the door 10 minutes later, asking for a new blanket because the one I gave him smelled like pee. So am I the a-hole for overreacting to my boyfriend not cleaning up the pee in the bed right away? Quick update. We both ended up cleaning the pee after I threw the sheets and blankets at him. And I took the bed because our couch isn't big and I really couldn't be bothered to move to the couch when I felt like I did nothing wrong. I was tired and wasn't thinking that part through entirely. Also, he is not a horrible or abusive boyfriend, doesn't have a fetish, etc. like some of the comments suggested. And I didn't throw him out of the house. He was truly half awake and was just not responsive the way he needed to be after peeing in our bed. Anyways, he got back from work today with flowers and my favorite ice cream. He told me he was thinking about what happened last night all day and that he was sorry. He apologized for dismissing me and for being disrespectful. I told him that the only issue I had with the situation was him telling me I was overreacting for wanting him to clean up the pee at the moment. That wasn't fair to me, and expecting me to be okay sleeping in his pee was unreasonable. Let me be clear, I understand accidents happen, but to sit there and tell me my response to needing it cleaned ASAP is unwarranted is insane. I appreciated the gesture, and I did read what you guys said. He doesn't have any underlying trauma or alcohol issues. He just peed the bed by accident. I wasn't shaming him for peeing the bed. I was mad at his response. I'm trying to be understanding that he was tired and wanted to go back to bed, but at the same time, this affects both of us. I just needed him to be responsible and acknowledge that what I said was valid and that he needs to grow up. He did order a mattress cover that will be here tomorrow, so until that's on the mattress, I don't want him in the bed with me. I think making him sleep with those sheets and blankets did jolt him awake to realizing the gravity of the situation. I'm still a bit hurt from how he handled the situation selfishly and inconsiderately. But he seems pretty remorseful, so we'll see how we both feel later. That's it for now. Thank you guys for your advice. I get accidents happen, but this? Not the a-hole, 100%. I am not sleeping in someone else's pee just because they're too tired to clean it up. You were more patient than I would have been. The second he laid that towel down and tried to go back to bed, my soul would have left my body. And it's not about shaming him for peeing the bed. It's about him dismissing you when you asked for it to be cleaned right away. New mattress, no cover, and he just shrugs? Nah. If I'm sharing a bed with you, we're both sharing the responsibility of keeping it clean. That's basic respect. I'm glad he came home with flowers and ice cream later, but yeah, the mattress cover rule absolutely staying in place until further notice. And coming up next, a dad who isn't just taking his teenager's paycheck, he's going even further. For some background, I, 16 female, have lived with my dad, 64 male, for about a year now. My parents are divorced, and I'm not close with my mother. I'm going into my senior year. I'm graduating a year early and start school again in a week or so. Last year in November, I began working at a restaurant as a hostess to save up for a car. I take the bus to and from school as well as to work, and a car would save me a lot of time. I make minimum wage, and I pull in a little over $1,000 a month after taxes. I put about 60 to 70% of that into savings and spend the rest on various things like going out with friends or Funko Pops. In February of this year, my dad told me since I was making so much money, I needed to start contributing to the household. At first, this was fine. He asked that I pay for my phone bill and utilities. We rent from a family member, so utilities are discounted, and my phone bill isn't too expensive either. Both things are about $200. With this, I was saving less, so I still had spending money, but still had set aside $400 to $500 every month for the car. In July, he decided I needed to pay a portion of the rent. I tried to argue with him on that, but he threatened to close my account, which he can do because he opened it for me. I had to start giving him $500 on top of the $200 a month, totaling $700 a month. With the $300 I had left, I saved $200 for the car and kept $100. I was pretty fed up at this point, but it gets worse. I have some cash in a jar in my room in case I go do something that you can't use a card for. I had about $300 in the jar from several months. Last week, I came home from work and the jar is empty. When I asked my dad, he said that since I'm his daughter, he's entitled to the money I make. I was furious. I told him he had to give it back, but he had already spent it on some BS Amazon purchases. Lucky me. He told me he wanted $100 extra a month because I shouldn't have that much money just for me. So after all this, I'm only pulling in $200 a month. That's if I don't save any. Last night, I told my dad I was going to give my 2 weeks' notice. I work hard and I'm exhausted. It isn't worth the few $100s I get. He was absolutely furious and said that I owe it to him to contribute to the household. I go to work in a few hours and I'm planning on letting them know I won't be continuing. So am I the a-hole? So here's what happened after that. I posted this on a Thursday and went to work that day as usual. I decided, against my better judgment, not to tell my boss anything. The restaurant I work at is a little family-owned small business, and I'm pretty close with my boss, the owner. She's kind of like an auntie, and she's a family friend, how I got the job at 15. On Friday when I went in, I told her briefly about the situation. I asked her not to report it, which she agreed to. Someone suggested asking if I could get my checks in cash, so I asked her about that, and she said yes. I have my cash hidden in a locked box my dad doesn't know the combo to, and I will probably continue keeping it in there. My dad would have to close the account I currently have, so it's open for now. My dad is out of the state until Monday, so I'm home alone for now and have time to make sure all my cash and stuff is out of his reach. To address some of the comments, my dad is not abusive physically and did not harm my mother in any way. They only have a 7-year age gap and met later in life. My dad isn't a bad person, but he is sick. He's been an alcoholic since I can remember, and while I don't know how he could possibly be spending $800 a month on booze, I'm sure he is. I'm moving out next year, so emancipation doesn't seem worth what it would cost and how long it would take. I don't have much contact with extended family. We rent the place from an aunt that lives in another state now, and we really only see her at Christmas, so I don't think she could really help. CPS has been involved in our family a lot, some reasons I've said in comments, and I'm not willing to have them reopen that wound for me. As for the police, I don't want them involved either. I've reported things to the police in the past that I needed help with, and they were completely useless and honestly really cruel about things. So yeah, that's the update for now. Wow, this one hit me hard. Saving for a car at 16 is already tough, but having your own dad drain your savings and claim he's entitled to your money, that's beyond unfair. I get that parents sometimes need help, but this wasn't support. This was control. And the jar money? That crossed the line completely. It wasn't about bills anymore. It was about taking because he could. Then adding more rent on top? No way. I'm glad you stood up for yourself. No teenager should have to hide their own paycheck just to chase their goals. And let me be clear, you are absolutely not the a-hole here. You're responsible, determined, and stronger than most adults I know. Standing up for yourself at that age takes guts, and you should be proud of that. So, what do you think, Snark Squad? Was OP right to draw the line, or would you have handled it differently? Drop your take in the comments. I can't wait to read them. And that wraps up today's r/am I the a-hole. Hope you enjoyed the drama as much as I did. If you did, give it a thumbs up and drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everything, even the spicy ones. And hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button, turn on the bell so you never miss another crazy story. I'll see you in the next one, and trust me, it's gonna be wild. Bye!